And we're live.
Really missing out on not starting right after this one.
Yeah. I'm sure people were very eager.
You know, it's this. I'll do this pre-pod. I don't feel like this is during pod. When Mike is catching up and he's telling us like where he is, it's such an innocent moment when you're like, all right, starting the third quarter, and I'm like, oh, the innocence.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Yeah,
Someone tell him. Someone tell him.
No, as I was, I'm setting up here. 1 sec. It was 62-61, and I was writing a note to myself on my phone, and then I saw the final. The ESPN alert came up, and I was like, okay. I guess they don't hold on to this 1 point lead.
All right, give it another 30 seconds, and then we'll go. Switched off a Spindrift. I'm not drinking Spindrift anymore.
Did they ever send you stuff?
No, so that's why I switched off. They DM'd me on Instagram and tell me how much they would like to send me stuff, and I was like, all right, cool, and then just like nothing. So they even asked for my address.
Wow.
So now I'm drinking bubbly. I don't need Spindrift. Bubbly's cheaper. All right, let's go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process, and our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, statesidevodka.com. On the show today, Doc Rivers is determined to shove it right up our fucking asses by playing DeAndre Jordan, whether we like it or not. Just really incredible. So we'll talk about that. Before we get going, wanted to send our love and support to Fred Burns, a Ricky listener who is going through some tough times with his son right now. Didn't want to say specifically what's going on, but we wanted to send our love out to Fred and his family and all them. I'm sure you will get through all of it. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy whose plus minus was slightly better than DeAndre Jordan's and slightly less playing time. That is one Mike Levin.
It was better.
Yeah,
it would have been better. It is better now. I'm gonna play like shit during this podcast, and yet it will still be better.
I need you to see a quote that CJ just told me about right before.
I've seen nothing after the game, so I just finished that. Oh no.
So the quote for the listeners, because we're doing this live on YouTube so everyone sees it. The quote, if you're listening to this pod that Mike just saw. Shout out to Kai Carlin. The quote, I don't know what the context is. We like DJ. We're going to keep starting him whether you like it or not.
It's, oh man.
It's like parody.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Usually, whether you like it or not, we're going to keep doing this thing would be directed at the opponent. Yeah. In this instance, the opponent likes it. I can confirm that the other team likes that they're starting DeAndre Jordan and playing him significant minutes.
Doug Rivers fucking hates us so much.
He really does. He truly does. He is, look, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Miami is a tougher team. They're a smarter team. They have better shooters. They're faster as a whole. They're better coached. They have home court advantage, and they have more experienced players, especially with their recent finals run. The Sixers have Joel Embiid, and now they don't. Mm-hmm. So it's just not a very good roster, the Sixers, especially when they lose their best player, MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Like,
best player on offense, best player on defense.
Yeah, it's just they're just not very good. Like, there's straight up look around, and you're like, a lot of these guys, there's a couple lineups that are playing during the game. You're like, there's no way this lineup should be a playoff lineup, let alone a second round of the playoffs lineup. And Doc has limited things to do at his disposal.
For sure.
And there were things that they did tonight that were like interesting, compelling, making it work, trying to figure it out. I thought there was a quote about in the huddle on the TNT broadcast. There's no more local broadcast, right? In the second round?
There is not.
Okay. There was in the huddle, Doc was like, we're not only gonna survive their press, we're gonna score off of their press, which I think is smart and good.
Yes. It was a great quote.
For an offense that has trouble getting going sometimes, especially without Joel, it's necessary to get easy buckets in transition, and they did. And yet Doc Rivers is such a massive dickhead that he is just determined. DeAndre Jordan is a horrendous basketball player. He is an absolute dog shit, worthless at this point, good at literally nothing on the court basketball player.
No offense.
At this point in his career.
No offense. No personal.
Some offense. I mean, if you put in, I'm trying to think of a retired big man who's not dead. I went to Moses and then Darryl Dawkins. And you put in Shaq right now, he'd be horrendous. It doesn't mean Shaq was a bad player in his prime, obviously.
For sure.
But like DeAndre Jordan is on the Shaq level right now. If you put in Shaq, he would give you what DeAndre Jordan is giving you. And the beginning of the game, they were scoring so easily on him.
It was embarrassing.
Anywhere.
The first 5 minutes of the game.
It was absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
The fact that the Sixers came back at all is a real testament to some gumption that this team has that I wasn't sure that they had. And that is, there's a ballsiness to that. But like, they are overcoming DeAndre Jordan minutes every single time he's in there. Every single time. And maybe on some teams that have, like Dallas, for example, which has like enough perimeter stoppers and a really good player in Luka that can manipulate the defense and just get him easy buckets. Like he could be somewhat playable there now. Probably not, but like it would be easier in Dallas because they have perimeter stoppers than it would be here. The Sixers don't have perimeter stoppers. They don't have enough of them. Danny, God bless him, is not at this point in his career a guy that can stop penetration on the perimeter. Matisse is, but he only played like 12 non-garbage time minutes. Niang gets blown by. Tobias was, I thought, pretty great on defense, but still occasionally gets blown by. Harden is Harden. Maxey is small. Like, there's just not enough guys that can stop the ball. So you need someone back there. And that's why Joel is so good and so underrated on defense, because you look around at this team and now, like, without him, they are absolutely hopeless. And they had to play zone, and the zone, to Doc's credit, worked for a while. But then the thing about a zone is that you give up a lot of offensive rebounds in a zone for a regular team, let alone for a team that is as physically weak, as instinctually weak, as not as long, not athletic, not hustling for loose balls, a lack of dogs entirely. Like, just it's and you hope, like, okay, we're putting DeAndre in to at least clean up some misses here and there. He had 2 rebounds in 17 minutes. 2 rebounds in 17 minutes. 2 rebounds in 17 minutes of basketball as the biggest guy on the court who does nothing else well. Who does absolutely nothing else well. He very obviously doesn't shoot. He very obviously can't cover the perimeter. He very obviously can't pass. He very obviously can't dribble. At the very least, you're thinking he can clean up some misses, and he can't, because I was on Andre Drummond for most of the year about being a fake rebounder, just his reputation being a little bit inflated because of the rebounding numbers. He's actually not a great rebounder of contested rebounds. That's true. DeAndre Jordan is so much worse of a rebounder than Andre Drummond at this point in his career. So much worse. And after the first couple minutes, they have Niang on the bench. They cut to Niang on the bench, just like talking to like a vacant DeAndre Jordan who got scored on like 18 straight times in the first like 4 minutes of the game. And you got to wonder, Niang's like, well, just like, what are you good at? Like, just like go out there and like be good at whatever it is you're good at. Like anything would be really helpful if you could do that. And DeAndre's just like not moving or anything at all. It's a tough spot to put him in because obviously, like we've said, he got cut from like several teams. There's a reason why he was available for nothing. He's horrendous. He shouldn't be on the team, and Doc shouldn't play him. And it's everybody's fault that he's even like in consideration at this point. It's fucking what an embarrassment. This is worse than Greg Monroe. Unbelievable.
Well, the thing about him is that you would expect, you're like, well, you know what? He obviously he's not good on switches. He can't match up on the perimeter, but at least he's 7 feet tall and athletic, at least to protect the rim. So
he might be like 6'2". If you actually measured him, like he might just look big. But like you could see, like, oh fuck, he's only 6'2". Like that's why he's not getting to literally anything ever.
And we're giving all of course, Doc deserves a lot of the fuck you in this right now. And with the caveat that you led with, hey, without Embiid, they are outmanned in this
By a
$1 billion% for sure. But I just want to harken back to when Daryl Morey said we're making too big a deal over minimum backup centers.
Yeah,
just too big a deal over.
He was wrong then, and he's wrong now.
Guess fucking what? It's not too big a deal. It's not too big a deal, especially when you're this guy is that you just need someone fucking playable. DeAndre Jordan might be. Bob Voulgaris tweeted, asked when the last time DeAndre Jordan was at least a neutral player. DeAndre Jordan might be, no offense, DeAndre Jordan might be the most in the competitive era of the process, the post Ben and Joel era. He may be the most negative player they've ever had on the court. I think I can't think of a more
long
negative
list, and
player.
most of them are centers for sure.
Unbelievable.
Could be on there. The socialized second year Amir. Yeah, I mean it's really bad. And Harden got him one lob. I think Tobias I forget who got him the other lob. But
did you see the DeAndre Jordan attempt, or not the DeAndre Jordan? When Danny Green tried to throw him one. It was like early in the game. He tried to throw him a lob it was like 4 feet away from the rim. It was really, really good.
Maybe I thought, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It was so good.
I was hustling through the game. Yeah, I mean, look, I was impressed that this team was winning. They were winning at halftime, right? They were up by 1 or 2?
They were up by 1.
It's a remarkable to be up that much. And you can also look at it and go, like, they shot 6 of 34 from 3. If they shot 12 of 34, they win this game. They had so many decent looks that they missed, and then later in the game they were a bunch of contested looks that they missed. But like there were really good looks that they missed, and like sloppy turnovers that they just gave the ball away sometimes. And I thought Miami hit a number of tough shots. I'd have to go back. They also missed a couple easy ones. Like this game was way closer than it had any right to be if you're Miami, and also the Sixers still could have won if like just a handful of things were even slightly more normal. So it's frustrating on the one hand that this was like Miami didn't play that well, and this was the game that they could have stolen. And George Niang was 0 for 7 from 3. Maxey was 1 for 6. Danny was 1 for 5. Tobias was 1 for 4. Matisse was 0 for 2. Like 6 of 34 is bad. And they gave up, honestly. Yeah, I said this, that zone defense, you give up offensive rebounds. They gave up every offensive rebound. The fact, I'm looking at the box score, it says 15 offensive rebounds. There's no way they only gave up 15 offensive rebounds.
They gave up 15 offensive rebounds on one possession, I think.
Easily. It was at least 30. I don't know where ESPN is getting their math. It's remarkable. Like, they just, every single shot that Miami put up, they were getting the offensive rebound of. Every single one. And like, you just, in this game, when they're at such a talent deficit, they're missing Embiid, they're missing their own shots. Like, you just need to clean up some rebounds, and they straight up didn't do any of that. And they're at such a deficit in so many areas of this game that you just hope that like Harden fouls somebody out, or Maxey catches fire or Tobias catches fire or one of the bench guys at least gets hot from three. Like you hope that you could like cobble together, like Matisse getting a couple like pick sixes would have helped. Like they really could have won this game, and Miami played pretty poorly, except for Tyler Hero who had a ton of tough shots. It's just without Embiid, they're barely a playoff team.
We have a great quote from B-Ball Paul and an amazing stat. No, not yet, CJ. Please, not yet. Hold on, wait for after. And an amazing stat from John Schumann about DeAndre Jordan right after I tell you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let me see if the Game 2 line is up. The Sixers were 7.5-point dogs in this game. They are 8.5-point dogs in Game 2. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets if they win. I'm begging my friends at DraftKings, our friends at DraftKings. We need Paul Reed over-unders. We need Paul Reed over-unders for the same game parlay. I'm begging you, Max. I'm begging you, Ethan. I'm begging you, Mike. Everyone at DraftKings. Don't make me show up at the office one day. We need Paul Reed over-unders. But otherwise, love our friends at DraftKings. Same game parlays, they have. You could do 10-leg same game parlay for all you want. And right now, if you place a same game parlay with 3 or more legs, you get a free bet back up to $25 if one leg doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's promo code RTRS. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Also want to send a shout out to our friends at Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. I was drinking the playoff motherfucker glass, and my wife was looking at it, and she was like, "Does that say motherfucker on it?" I was like, "Yeah, we sold T-shirts with that too." I was very proud of that. So you can get the Stateside, the 2 glasses, and the playoff motherfucker one and the regular season bitch one, plus a 750 milliliter bottle of Stateside for just $49.99. Go to our site. Go to the link in the description of this pod to get it. The quote from B-Ball Paul. Per Barry Jackson, 76ers Paul Reed, we can beat this team. If we keep them on their heels, they're going to fold.
First of all, I love it.
Bold.
First of all, I love it.
Very bold, yeah.
I wish if you just replace this team with Doc, and if we replace on their heels with out of the gym and maybe out of the state, I think that is possible. No, it's not all Doc's fault. He is just being a dickhead, and the way that like it's mostly. Do they have a chance here? They have a chance to win a game without Joel Embiid if they shoot really, really well.
Yeah,
they have to shoot really, really well.
Yeah,
and nothing that Doc does really is going to make a difference in that. If they shoot really, really well and Miami misses a couple shots, then and B-Ball Paul doesn't get in as bad foul trouble as he did tonight, predictably. But again, even in a game where you're like, we're going to need more from Paul Reed. If this was an Embiid game, Paul Reed gave him 13 minutes. Use 5 fouls in 13 minutes. It's totally fine. Totally fine that he used 5 fouls in 13 minutes. If Embiid was here, that would be great. I have no problem with that.
We have other stuff to talk about. By the way, John Schumann, with DeAndre Jordan on the floor tonight, the Sixers were outscored by 71.5 points per 100 possessions.
Felt like
they scored 29 points on 33 offensive possessions, the Sixers did, and allowed 51 points on 32 possessions. That's 1.59 points per possession. And
felt like more.
The last thing, before we get to the other players, but there's just no way. I watch the guy play. I know we don't watch him in practice. I know. There's just no way that Charles Bassey is worse than DeAndre Jordan.
No, of course not. Of course,
there's just no way. There's no way.
Of course,
he's just Doc Rivers being a fucking asshole about it. I kind of respect the stubbornness. There's just no way. There's just no way that Charles Bassey is worse.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Is your dad there?
I'm sure. Oh no, in Miami, no.
Okay.
No.
Can we send him down? You know, I'm not a big fan of your dad. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of the kind of person he is. I would love to deputize
kind of person,
your dad.
Maybe kind of reporter. You don't know what kind of person.
I didn't say. Did I say as a person? I didn't mean. I say I'm not a big Howard Eskin fan. The entity,
right?
Not my style. But I would love to deputize Howard to go down and just get into an argument with Doc on camera until they both explode. I think that's exactly the reason why Howard exists on this earth, is to give him shit for this horrible decision that he is being stubborn about. If Doc, you want to be the most stubborn person in the world, we got another stubborn one for you right here in Philadelphia. Send his ass down.
Well, when Doc did the thing about all like defending his collapses in the playoffs, that was a Howard-esque question.
Sure.
Like that lit him
I
up.
didn't know that, but that's not surprising.
So game 3, I think we need to deputize Howard and make him just an honorary.
I want him down to Miami now. Get his ass there. Get him on a plane. Somebody.
All right. The other players. I think.
Well, let's do B-Ball Paul while we're here. Here.
B-Ball, he was
wonderful. Great. He was B-Ball Paul.
He's got
you
Danny Green
really
to him.
You watch DeAndre and you're like, it is more and more. Again, I roster wise, it is. You can't compare how much worse the Sixers roster without Embiid is than Miami's. You just can't compare it. It's worlds different. But so I'm not blaming Doc for everything, but B-Ball Paul is so much more helpful of a basketball player than DeAndre Jordan. It is insane. And every single second on the floor that both of them are there, I get more and more frustrated that Doc wasted months and months and months playing other people instead of B-Ball Paul to get him ready. If he had more time to work through some of these issues, he would. You can see him and Harden developing chemistry on pick and roll in the playoffs. This could have happened in February, in March, in April, and he just refused to do it and then continues to lie about it, about what had happened. He is such a dickhead. It is unbelievable. So B-Ball Paul, yes, absolutely fouls too much, bites on shit, and the refs are discriminating against him for his weirdness. Like, we've established all these things. If you've listened to a podcast in the past couple of weeks, I say this every single time. But going to zone to protect his fouls was helpful, although Miami eventually figured it out. Had a really, really nice catch in traffic, B-Ball Paul did, on a Harden pass, where he had a nice tough lefty finish from him. He threw a lob to Tobias in transition that kicked ass. He got a poke out in the perimeter that triggered a transition bucket for Matisse.
The lob to Tobias in transition was awesome.
Was awesome.
It was an awesome moment. Yeah.
And he didn't make mistakes in the sense of, earlier in the season, or some games still, he dribbled the ball up court to like just get it up court to keep it moving. Other times you're like, nobody allowed him to do that. But like, he was relatively, as far as B-Ball Paul goes, a fully not in control person, just constantly looking out of control. He was in control tonight. He had 9 rebounds in 13 minutes. He had 5 offensive rebounds. The only guy going for loose balls in the offensive glass. That's hugely valuable. He bites on shit too much. He reaches too much sometimes. He goes over a guy's back. Sometimes he just like punched Jimmy in the back of the head because he bit so hard on a pump fake. The thing that is fine with me, and it's just something that like he's just gonna have to work through and always be an issue. You're seeing Jaren Jackson, who was obviously drafted well before B-Ball Paul, and is older, or not older, but has played more NBA minutes and is still working through like not fouling as much. And he's maybe the best shot blocker in the league. So it happens, and it's just something that young guys have to work through. And he's never going to be a starting center in this league, B-Ball Paul. So I don't mind even the fouls in general. It's okay.
Starting power forward, probably.
Starting power forward, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's the things that frustrate me is like he is long and physical, and there's a couple times too many where he gets the ball down low and he goes up kind of weak. He'll like fling a little like reverse lefty kind of thing, or like go up with a baby hook or something. And I just need like some power dribbles and some like dunking on fucking guys. And if he can have the offensive game of like a, building towards a Rashawn Holmes type of thing where he's just like dunking everything in sight. Because he has a little bit more unconventional weirdness than Rashawn does. He can finish in interesting ways. I would prefer to just like dunk on people's heads. And there's sometimes when he goes up a little soft.
It was the Thad thing. Always wanted Thad Young to dunk. Never did it.
Yeah.
Never did it the way you wanted.
But B-Ball Paul's bigger and longer and more physical than Thad ever was. So, I really thought B-Ball Paul was good. Did he foul too much? Sure. But like he produced this is exactly what you want out of him. He's switching on the perimeter. They were a -3 in a game where they lost by several dozen. It felt like he was just good. He was just like totally fine. And I just get more mad that he wasn't playing earlier this season because he'd be better.
So I think this was a game where if you were thinking to yourself, all right, now now with Embiid out, we have Harden here, and he's been pretty reserved. Played well, had some good games, had some, quiet games. But now that Embiid is out, this is going to be an offense where Harden's going to step in for a couple games and really carry them. Is not fucking going to happen. It's not going to happen. He had a couple of moments. He actually, I was talking with MOC earlier, he didn't look particularly slow.
No.
He just doesn't look like he has a lot in him.
Yeah.
And I think the Heat, it was interesting. The beginning of the game, they were full court pressing him. And I was like, why are they doing that? I think they're just trying to wear him out a little bit. And, because he just doesn't have it, man. I mean, he is good. He is when Embiid and Maxey are both on the court, and all he has to do is the 70% of himself that he is at this point. He is fine, but he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it to do that in a game. I don't think there might be a game or two where he's particularly hot. He hits a couple of more threes when he did. Maybe goes 5 of 8 from 3 rather than 2 of 7, but. It just, if you were waiting for it, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you're right that they were just tiring them out. I think I was happy to see them pushing the ball because especially without Joel and when it's a B-ball Paul or a non-center lineup, which they went to sometimes with like some effect occasionally, they can push the ball. They can get out in transition and try to like at least get some easy buckets that way. But I do think your point about it tiring them out. And plus a zone, people talk about like a zone like it's easier on defense. I find a zone is way more physically taxing than man. I think you're constantly moving and shifting and having to like think and move, and it's like a lot of like short bursts of things and like contest this and contest like all the time. Whereas in a man, you can at least be like kind of just hang with the guy if they're standing in the corner or whatever. So I think all of that combined did make them look like really tired. And then that third quarter, Miami's obviously like notoriously in great shape because they're psychos, and they just look slow. And the Sixers are slow to begin with, so when they look even a step slower than slow, it's like may as well go home. But Harden, I think I was hoping to see a little bit more. I wasn't assuming it would happen. I wasn't like banging my chest being like, here we go, this is what we got him for. I think Harden is a very good player still, and he's very helpful, and he's an incredible distributor, and his presence on the court is generally a wild positive. But at this point in his career, he's just not, he can't be the guy anymore. And I think it's pretty clear. And Miami's a really good defense and all that stuff, but I think maybe with a full healthy offseason and a commitment to this team or whatever, with Joel and Harden finding like, okay, I have to get in shape for the last however many years of my prime or near prime I can wrangle here. Maybe there's more to it, but like it seems like the rest of his career is going to be the like distributing step backs and like a bunch of driving into people's chests and occasionally getting called for charges on it. It's tough. I didn't think he played badly. He just wasn't as like,
he just wasn't what we needed.
You needed more from him, and I think he feels that. But he's still like a great passer. I think he only had 5 assists, but I think that's partially because the Sixers shot 6 of 34 from deep. So I think that number could have easily gone up, but yeah, it's we know that the Sixers, like Embiid is the Sixers' best player by so much, and we see why. Like they're not going to be able to do it without him. I was hoping for more, but I wasn't necessarily expecting more.
To stay in the backcourt with Maxey, like I'm torn on Maxey, right? Because on one end he's 21. Every time you look at his stats, you realize the leap that he took this year, and he should have won Most Improved. He definitely should have. You realize the leap he took. But then you watch the games and you're like, man, these like out of nowhere bursts that last like 4 or 6 minutes. I just wish I could have 2 or 3 of them, and because it seems like he'll disappear for, large swaths of the game. And it's a shame they need him so much. So you have to be like critical of that. It was a hell of a time for the 3 to go away tonight too. He took a couple of those ballsy 4 foot beyond the line threes that have been going down a lot and did not go down tonight. He was fine. What do you have? The 19, 20 points, something
19
like
on
that.
15.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But
He was
didn't really impact the game in other ways.
No.
I need him, I don't know. I don't know what the game plan behind this is. I thought there was like too much Tobias dribbling into stuff. Honestly, they missed a bunch of shots. Like the offense, if they hit 3 more shots from deep and still shoot like 22% from 3, whatever, it's still like it's a much more serviceable game. You can look at this and think like, okay, there's playable stuff. But I do think, as I've been saying, like Maxi's speed is, without Embiid, like the only thing that they can leverage into good offense. Like Maxi's speed, which triggers Harden's passing, which triggers like Tobias's shooting and attacking, and then Danny's shooting and Niang's shooting, all that stuff. Like, but Maxi's speed needs to be there to open it up, whether it's opening it up in transition or in the half court, or like just him taking a pick and roll and just turning the corner. Like he just has to be the fastest player on the planet with the ball right now, for them to have a shot in a non-Embiid game. He just has to turn the corner, and if he gets stopped and a guy comes over, either kick it out to the open man, or a lob or whatever, or like pull it out and fucking do it again. Like get another screen and turn the corner again. Like his speed in the half court is such a weapon, and they are not using it enough. And we've said this a bunch of times, but it's unfair to ask a 21-year-old who was drafted 21 overall, who is now like, who was point guard to start the year, and now he's like kind of off guard, but still runs second unit, blah, blah, blah. It's unfair to ask him to do that much in a playoff series against a really good veteran Miami team, who, by the way, is going to get Kyle Lowry back probably in a game or two. Mm-hmm. And he's, one of the best defensive point guards of all time. But they need him to do it because they don't have many other options.
We will get to Toby, Danny Green, and of course, George Niang right after we talk about Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. You want to sue Doc Rivers for starting DeAndre Jordan, even though he knows in his heart it's worse? You call Kornblau.
What was the quote again? Say it again.
What's that?
We're gonna keep starting DeAndre whether you like it or not.
Yeah. CJ will bring it up again. Well, I think that's all the evidence you need. Is this Kai Carlin tweet is probably you probably bring it up in the lawsuit. Kornblau and Kornblau,
he's got a case.
Yeah, he definitely has a case. He's certainly going to end up causing some personal injury to somebody with a quote like that. Kornblau and Kornblau, the premier boutique personal injury law firm in the Delaware Valley and official sponsors of the Ricky. Adam Kornblau is the guy that you're going to get and you're going to ask for when you call or you email Kornblau and Kornblau. That phone number is 215-576-7200. And the email is kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com. KORNBLAU. The reason that you're going to reach out is twofold. First of all, because he's good at it and he cares, right? He has a true passion, as does everyone that works for Kornblau and Kornblau, about these sorts of cases and wants to win for you. The second is when you call or when you email, you're actually going to get him. A lot of these personal injury law firms you see advertised, they're really just referral services. You're not getting the person that you hear in the ad. You're not getting the person to see in the ad. With Kornblau and Kornblau, you are. This dude is legit. He has helped tons of our listeners so far, and he will help you if you're in a case like this. Look, as Kornblau says, if you're injured in some way, don't be a hero. Call Kornblau. If you're hurt, call Kornblau. Any sort of personal injury, medical malpractice, they have some of the biggest results in southeastern PA. Injured at work, slip and fall, car accidents, all that kind of stuff. Kornblau and Kornblau. And if you just need legal advice for some non-personal injury thing, he hooks all of our folks up. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam. Email kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. So Tobias Harris played well, but I'll add this caveat. Look, he competed on defense. He played hard. He scored efficiently, all those things. But it's like one of those things that if Tobias Harris is having a game like this, gets that much of the offensive load, you just have this weird feeling that you're not going to win, like a meaningful game. I'm sorry, it's a shitty thing to say about a guy that had a really good game and has played well in the playoffs, and he did all that he could, but there's just too much of his offense that is like 2 points and that's it. Like when it's on him, there's not a ton of fouling. There's not a ton of threes when it's on him. And it's just like a recipe for not winning a game. But he played really well. He competed really hard on defense. And I don't know that you can ask much more of him in a game like this. You know, he is what he is, and he played well. But when you're asking this much of Tobias Harris, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, I thought I definitely competed on defense. He definitely played hard and was physical and got his hands in there. He blocked the hell out of a hero jumper. That was cool. I think he reverted a little bit offensively in this game.
Toby time.
And he hit the shot to Toby time, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he hit those shots, a lot of them. He was 10 of 14 on twos. He hit those mid-range shots. He got to his mid-range spots whenever he wanted, like some of those in the middle of the floor, that's fine. He's not going to hit those all the time. They're going to play him tougher like that. I need him to be able to get off some threes. And it said he was 1 of 4. The box score says 1 of 4 from 3, but I think a couple of them were like late in the game. He wasn't really taking many threes. I do love transition Toby, as I said last time, pushing off their press, pushing off makes, and he drew a block charge call on Max Strus. They're going to keep just setting up shop in the lane and trying to jar a charge on him. So it was good that he at least is a little bit elusive there. But I need him to get threes off. I need him to be physical, and I need him to not be as loose with the ball as he is. 1 assist to 3 turnovers. Some of that was just they missed shots, but I need him to be like tougher with the ball in his hands. They like stripped it a couple times. They knocked it away. Like he's got to be more tough, like physical with the ball, because Miami's good. They get their hands in there. Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, obviously 27 points and 18 shots in a playoff game against a good team. Like he was much of their offense, but I'm a little bit worried that without Joel, we see some offensive reversion from our pal Toby.
People are killing Yang, and like the thing is, in the playoffs, if he does not make 3 out of the 7 threes, like this is what you get. I actually thought they had some good possessions with him in as the 5 defensive possessions, actually, for a guy who's pretty exploitable on defense.
Because Bam's not that good of a ball handler. Obviously, for a center, he's a good ball handler. But like, if their offense is like Bam going 1-on-1 in the post, then like I'm kind of fine with that.
Right.
Like, even if it's Niang and he can be physical that way, and Bam's going to get his points that way for sure. It's not going to be a unstoppable. But I agree that I don't mind it sometimes, especially if the alternative is the worst player in basketball right now.
And you got to play him. You have to. You can't sit Niang. You just they need his shooting. I think he's a positive player for them.
So, I mean, there's just not many options on the bench to go to, and Niang has been an excellent shooter this year. 0 of 7 is 0 of 7. Like, you know, I'm sure he wishes he made some, but like for the most part, those are good looks. You want him taking those shots. He was a +6 in 22 minutes, which I think some of it was garbage time, but they have to account for him on the floor. He gets his shot off quicker than anybody else on the team from a high release point off the catch. And I think he's just helpful from like an energy standpoint, even though he's, you know, slow and kind of doughy. He just has to hit shots. And for some shooters, like sometimes you don't, and it's a bummer. I thought Shake was also bad. I thought he was real bad. I don't think he did anything at all.
Danny, not a great Danny. That
not much
scoop
for Danny.
layup, the finger roll.
Of course, this was the game that the scoop layup goes in off the drive. I'm like, just the sounds that I make when Danny has the ball and does stuff with it. I wish I could bottle it up, but it's really, yeah. I mean, good for him for hitting that. That earned him in his mind like 400 more scoop floaters off the dribble. Like, that's God help us. But I think he's also helpful defensively. Like he was a -2 in 26 minutes, and it's because he's just like,
which seems impossible, by the way.
But he was just like an actively helpful person on the defensive end. He just is. Like when he is out there, there is just, even though he can get blown by, his defensive IQ and hands and knocking things away and just getting in the muck sometimes, good things happen defensively when Danny's around. But yeah, I think like the team is just kind of starved for more guys who can hang defensively. And, you know, Matisse wasn't excellent tonight, especially offensively. Like there was not much. He had the bucket in transition off the B-ball Paul play, but not much else. And he got called for that bad foul call blocking Tyler Hero. Refs just like don't understand sometimes that he can like get to those balls. And Doc is never going to use a challenge unless it's like the last 45 seconds of the game. And in my mind, like he got all ball on that. And that's a situation where you can take 3 points off the board for the other team. And I would have used it.
Especially with Hero, the free throw shooter that he is, you know, like
it's automatic. Yeah. It's 3 points. And I think like I think there's a mentality thing. If they'd gone to the review and seen, oh, that's not a foul, then maybe he could have gotten to more balls like that. I just think like in a game like this, the odds of this going down to a last minute call that Doc gets to be like, and this is why I saved my challenge. Like you need to use it. You got to just get a play right. Like you get one time a game to get a play right to change something. And like that was one where he got all ball and you could have stopped 3 points and he didn't. And maybe it wouldn't have made a difference at all, but like there's something to be said for momentum and that would have stopped him and that would have felt like something. But I thought his hands and length were helping when he was in there. I think he drew one foul on defense just by pursuing hard and like around screens and stuff. And I would like, you know, you talked about Niang at center, like Matisse is never going to be a center, but in those lineups where there's not a traditional center out there, I do think that they should have Matisse out there because his shooting is then less of a weakness also. If it's like Harden, Maxey, Danny, Matisse, Niang, or Tobias and Matisse, Niang or something, then you can spread him out and he can be cutting and rolling and all that stuff and wreaking havoc on the perimeter in the zone or something like that. But they didn't. I don't think he was out there for any non-center minutes.
The one defensive thing I wish we saw more out of Thibault is fighting through screens. I feel like it's too easy for players like Hero, and you see it with guards a lot, to get him caught on a screen and you know, and neutralize him. And I think it's one of the things that prevents him from being as good an on-ball defender as he probably can be, is that he just, one is I think it's a body thing, it's a strength thing, but it's another thing is like sort of a will and a strategy thing. And I don't think he does it enough.
Drew Holiday is excellent at it and can like snake through and make his body small so he can get through. And I agree with you. Sometimes Matisse can come from behind. I think in some ways Matisse's length and the fact that he can get those recovery blocks from behind on jumpers or at the rim or whatever make him feel like, well, I don't need to like go all out for this because I can come back, but I'd rather him just fight through and prevent some stuff from happening.
The last Danny thing I wanted to mention is Danny is keeping up his podcasting as if he's not currently on the Sixers who are playing. And in his podcast, first of all, he threw the Doc under the bus, which was kind of funny. He said, here's the entire quote. And I think that I just want to move on to Embiid and the chances that he, like when he gets back. So here's the full quote. We saw him on the plane after the game and he was holding his head. It seemed pretty severe. We didn't know how bad it was. There were no stitches. I saw a little scratch, but when it happened, he kind of wanted to go back in the game. We're like, Joel, you can't go back in the game. We subbed you out and challenged the replay. Mind you, we probably should have pulled the plug a little earlier, but I mean, it is what it is. We were waiting for Nick Nurse to throw subs in first. It is what it is, like I said. He came out. It seemed like the adrenaline. He still wanted to play. But I think once it set in after the game, you could see in the locker room he was holding his head a lot. He was kind of a little leery. His body seemed a little wary. On the plane, he was under the covers. They usually just play cards. On the bus, he kind of just laid down, covered his face. I think the lights were getting to him.
Yeah.
Which speaks to the, you know, is the one thing we haven't talked about that. We didn't talk about that much with the Embiid injury was the concussion part of it, which can linger. You know, it doesn't seem like he'll need surgery, or they would have said it already with the orbital bone, but the concussion part of it, him coming back from, this is the only account we've heard of his actual response to the concussion, because he did do a TNT interview right afterwards. He seemed sort of fine, but staying away from light, saying he seemed wobbly, like none of this is like great stuff, you know?
Yeah. Concussions and like and migraines, anybody, those kinds of things. If you're staying away from the light, you're trying to stay away from sounds and stuff. And Yeah, I fucking feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I just feel bad. That sucks. I wonder, do you think he watched the game?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yes. A billion%. I think he watched the game. Yeah.
Do you think that if he went to Doc and said,
take out
"Stop playing
DeAndre
Jordan, or I will get you fired," do you think that Doc would listen?
I think Doc wants
Or
to
would he
be
ask Joel
fired.
if he would ask Pop that? God, he's so bad. I truly would love to watch, because I would love to watch DeAndre Jordan play with Joel. I would love to be sitting on the sideline with Joel as Joel watches DeAndre play, because I think it would be enlightening if he could say what he thought. I think he would be like, this fucking guy. I think Joel would say that about a lot of guys defensively, because when you're that good at defense and you watch somebody who just totally sucks ass, it's hard to fathom how they could do that. But yeah, he's horrendous. Couple other quick things before we get back to Joel game when he comes back.
Yeah.
Korkmaz, nice that he got 9 points in garbage time. He was their fourth leading scorer.
He was feeling it a little bit. Maybe it gets him back rolling a little bit. They need somebody to get hot.
That is a charitable and hopeful explanation, and I appreciate you for it. I don't buy it. I think that he was just like, I'm fucking going to do this. He's like, I'm not passing to fucking Isaiah Joe. I'm not going to throw a single fucking lob to Bassie. I'm getting up every single shot I can possible in these 10 minutes so people remember that I was here. And definitely some Korkmaz PR person, his publicist, is going to be like, the fourth leading scorer in the second round of the playoffs. That's bleak. It's just tough to look at. But yeah, I mean, he had a nice cut earlier in the game on baseline, and I think like his shooting, even the idea of his shooting, like could leverage some stuff, but like he is just helpless on defense, especially in his zone. Like you would think he'd be easier, but like his reaction time, his like quick burst, like quick twitch athleticism is so low that like he just can't contest anything, and he's not physical enough to withstand anything. So at least like Tobias can, and Tobias has better hands. He just can't hold up. Like there's no good options for Doc. I get it, but like you wish that there could have been some like making guys playable out of nowhere that like other teams seem to get, and the Sixers just haven't. And they're kind of hopeless. Like they're throwing.
It almost seems like
Paul Millsap in there.
Every team they play has players. You're like, why don't we have one of those or two of those or
for sure. I mean, Duncan Robinson didn't play in this game.
It's amazing. He's like been supplanted by Max Strus. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, Strus is a better defender for sure.
Yeah.
And Caleb Martin on defense is like a way better athlete and physical. But I didn't, unless there was some injury thing with Duncan Robinson. But yeah, like the Sixers could use somebody like that, at least like with movement shooting and that kind of thing. But Millsap also got in there. I think it should be a B-ball Paul, Charles Bassie front court. And if you want to go to Millsap for like the idea, if you want to go like Millsap Matisse and go like, okay, Millsap, a little bit of girth inside and physicality and the idea of a stretch five, even though like he's far from that at this point in his career, at least he could theoretically catch a ball from behind the 3-point line and then arrange his feet in such a way that he could then elevate off of them and take a jump shot from beyond the 3-point line. I could see that. I could see the defense maybe thinking about covering him at that point. That'd be nice. But I wouldn't play him unless Matisse is out there too. And I wouldn't play him unless like B-Ball Paul, Charles Bassie are in foul trouble. But Doc's going to keep starting DeAndre Jordan, even if I specifically tell him not to. I think we need other people to continue to call your representatives and maybe stage a protest or something. I wish that could do anything. He's horrendous. He's awful. He's so bad. Really, really atrocious basketball. Can't believe you could be a coach. Sorry. Can't believe you could be a coach and watch that stuff and be like, we're going to keep going to it. Because like the thing about coaches is that as much as they love veterans, as much as they want to hump veterans, as much as they want to bond about like what 1999 was like there is the idea of getting beat in the same way over and over again is torturous to them. And so they're just going to, it's amazing how much better. I think some of it is just like the relief other teams feel when DeAndre Jordan's on the court, they feel like in Mario Kart, like you get like a star and you're indestructible. It feels like a little bit you're like a star and you can just bang through things. You're just like, I'm going to make everything because DeAndre Jordan's on the court and he's covering me. Tyler Hero hit like a tough fadeaway, like 16-footer with DeAndre like bearing down on him. And he's probably just like, oh, like this guy fucking sucks.
He's
So
not
I have
gonna
to
get
make
to me.
Of course
Yeah.
I'll make this. There's no way he's going to do anything about this. And so I think that, but like, it's amazing to me that Doc, as a coach, as like a like short-term thinking head coach, which most of them are, they're trying to think like play to play. And like the fact that he is willing to keep going back to this as Doc, as he just like ruins things defensively over and over and over again, just like absolutely tanking possessions, like just a gift offense to the other team. I mean, he's going to go to it whether I like it or not. So God bless him. Thanks, Doc. What a treat. Congrats on all the wins.
Last thing, Embiid, I'm being honest, I only read the headline. Embiid apparently has taken steps to being able to play for the French national team.
Oh, really? I haven't seen this.
Yeah, so two things.
I hope that's not true.
Oh, I think it's true.
I hope he decides against it.
Yeah.
I guess it's more the
two things. First of all, I don't need you playing extra competitive basketball.
No, thanks.
It's your life. But second of all, if you're going to do it, the reason I would tell you to do it for the U.S. team is so you can become friends with those guys and get them to want to play here. Right. We don't need fucking Evan Fournier or
no. Nick Batum would probably start on this team right now. Would start Nick Batum at center for sure. Boris Diaw, I would probably start at center. I could probably cobble together a bunch of guys on the French national team that would be better than DeAndre Jordan. No, I think Joel, if they find a way to win game 2, I said the other day when we did the emergency Embiid pod, I think he's going to come back for game 4.
I think 4 seems more right than 3, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if they lose game 2 and he's feeling even in the world of okay, I think he comes back for game 3. And it's dangerous because concussions and they're scary, and maybe he's not going to be ready and all that stuff. But I think I would find it difficult. I'm guessing that Embiid's going to find it difficult to not play game 3 if they're down 0-2. If they're down 0-2, you go into game 3 at home. I think he's like, just let me get out there for like 24, 28 minutes or something. And then give us a shot to win that one and get some momentum going into game 4, because if they win game 2 and then it's 1-1 going back home, I think he'll certainly take the extra couple days that the doctors are recommending. But I think that if he's down 0-2, I don't think he's going to risk the idea of like, well, if I'm definitely going to play game 4, I'm not going to come in game 4 down 0-3 and rush back, because that's kind of pointless. So like, I may as well rush back for game 3 and see if we can win one here. So I would really love to steal game 2. This game 1 was the one to steal without Kyle Lowry, with Miami not playing that well, but they shot 6 of 34 from 3, and DeAndre Jordan played 17 of the worst minutes anyone's ever seen in their life. So
the report comes from RMC Sport, which is a French news outlet, so I can't read it, but the translation per Liberty Ballers, Embiid has initiated administrative procedures to obtain a French nationality to be able to play for the French national team. The report added that a stay in France would be planned by the end of June to finalize the file, and then he'd be able to play for France in 2024 as the Olympics are in Paris. So we'll all be dead by then, so
yeah,
not really a worry.
I plan on it for sure.
DeAndre Jordan will have killed us all. All right, next
DeAndre
game
Jordan
is Wednesday night.
Should play for the French national team. I think he'd be great. I'm sure he'd have a blast. Get out there, pal.
We will
2 rebounds.
2
in 17 minutes. When the other team
Paul
had
9 and 13, right?
B-Ball Paul had 9 himself in 13 minutes.
Yeah. So it's like 4 times is 400% the rebounds.
Charles Bassey had 2 rebounds in 5 minutes. That's obviously not like statistically relevant, the idea of how many rebounds per minute or whatever, but the Sixers were crushed on the boards, and DeAndre Jordan was there for a lot of it, not getting rebounds. And what else in the world is he good at? I've told you this before. I know you got to go to bed. I've told you but last thing, DeAndre Jordan, I went to a place in Malibu for, might have been Mother's Day several years ago, or Alyssa's mom's birthday or something. And we were sitting outside by like the dock or something, some shit. And the hostess was like, just be mindful, no pictures, please. There is a celebrity here. And Alyssa and I were like, okay, fucking celebrity. All right, who's it going to be? Like, let's find, we're in the business. Like, relax. And it's fucking DeAndre Jordan. And I'm like, the idea that I would take a fucking picture of DeAndre Jordan and be like, he's here. We got him. And it was like, what a pointless thing. Like, don't tell me I can't use my phone for DeAndre Jordan. I'm fucking texting someone else about how much he fucking sucks at his job. Ugh, brutal. Anyway.
Wednesday night, do this again.
Do this again.
Well, they're going to start DeAndre whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not, I'll text you what quarter I'm up to as I'm catching up, and you can just hide the truth from me that this is a fruitless endeavor.
All right. We'll talk to you Wednesday night. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know, Lickface.